All right, let's add a couple more connecting pieces. In addition, I realize I haven't put any connecting pieces over here, so this step is kind of floating out in the middle of nowhere. So we need to put some things coming out of the cab onto this. I don't know if we can see them here. Yeah, these pieces right there. So we need to add those. There's always something, isn't there? All right, let's go back to the front here, and I'd like to do this. And I don't want to get all this detail. I don't need all that detail. I just need something to connect right in here. So I think what I'm going to do is just create a cube first, and then scale down, and let's bring it forward. And I think what I want to do is just scale it in the X, make it pretty thin, so it's about this thick here. And then what I want to do is delete some of the faces here, and then add a solidify modifier. So what I mean by that is I'm going to delete these faces here, right there, and then what I'll do is I'll add a solidify modifier to that once I get everything in place. Because as we've seen, it's sometimes just easier to get the shape you want when you're just dealing with a two-dimensional object, just a flat plane type of thing. So let's put this kind of where we want it. It looks like it's, let me scale it down, kind of put it on top of here like this, and we will put a bracket coming off of this as well. It looks like it's kind of over this way. Maybe I'll scale it back out a bit. Yeah, so it's something like this, and it looks like it should connect back up. Well, let's grab this and kind of move it forward so it connects into there, and we'll grab this one here. I'll press Alt-Z and grab this, and let's move this one forward as well like that, so they're kind of angled. It looks like this is kind of angled. We'll see. All right, so we've got that in place. Let's just call that good for now. Let's go ahead and add a solidify modifier. I will press Control A and apply the scale. And then let's come over here and click on solidify, even thickness, and then I'll pull this back just a bit like that. Let's try that. So that's kind of what I wanted. Let's go ahead and apply this. I'll click apply. And then I feel like maybe I should drag this up. I feel like we need more meat to this, or more thickness. And I think I'd just like to hit the G key and move this up a bit so they're kind of even like that. Let's try that. Yeah, so it just has more thickness on the bottom there. And then I think we could just grab this guy, that bracket that we created here. We could just grab that, duplicate it, and move it in the X-axis. Bring it over here. And then let's split it out with the P key and choose to separate by selection. There we go. Now we need to connect it to that bracket. So what let's do is maybe move that origin to this piece right here. Set origin to geometry. There we go. And then what let's do is maybe just spin it around in the X. So RX. And I'll just kind of turn it like this so we can get it connecting a little bit better. So maybe if I select this and let's move it up like that. And we can delete that from inside there. And there's this one here. We can move that one up like that and delete that from inside because we don't need those. Okay, so yeah, I think really that's kind of all we need. I just needed something kind of in there to fill that space, to give a sense that it's being connected. Let's join these two together. Oops, let's grab that and this. Okay, Control J. There we go. And it looks like we may need to play with the smoothing a bit. And also this right here. Let me select this and just move it forward a bit. There we go. And then the smoothing, well, let's come over here and turn on auto smooth. And then let's drag that up just a bit to clean that up. There we go. Okay, now let's grab this and let's move it over to the other side. Once again, we can duplicate it and hit enter, and then we can maybe come over here to the X location field and take away the negative sign. Let's just do that. And it should pop over to the other side there. Okay, so we've got those pieces in. Yeah, I just feel like that's kind of a nice collection of things in there to say there's things going on in there, but we don't really need to see exactly what they are. Let's take a look. Is there more that we could do? I may want to do one of these loops here. I'm not sure if we need it. There's more going on up here. One thing I am interested in is this right here. I feel like that could be a nice piece to add right in here, it looks like. I don't know if I want to cut that, but I think that little piece right there could help connect these two and fill that space. So let's just work on that real quick. I think what we need is a cube. I'll just grab that, a cube. We'll scale it down. I'll pull it out front here. Let's scale it in the Z. I'll scale it in the Y with S and Y. There we go. And then let's create these two little pieces going up. I think all we need to do is add some edge loops. We can maybe add 4 edge loops here, like this. And then maybe we could grab this edge and we could scale them in the X like this. And maybe we could take all of these then and scale them out in the X just a bit like that. There we go. Then I think all I need to do is grab these two faces here and let's just extrude straight up like that, right? So we're just getting that piece in there. That's all we want to do. Let's go to the front view and I'll scale it down. Let's move it up here. And let's try and put this, somewhere around in here maybe. Do you think that's kind of, it looks like it goes just to the edge of that front grill, so maybe something like this. And of course we need to move it in. Let's do that. Grab that and move it in. It looks like we can see it right in here. Let's move it in right there. All right. And then let's move it over to the other side, just like we've done before. Let's duplicate it, and let's take the negative sign away. And there we go. All right, so those are just very simple pieces that we can put in there. Maybe I'll move them forward just a bit, like this. We don't want them out too far. And I think we're also going to need to put a rim or a lip on this underneath. We may even have to add a solidify modifier to the whole thing because there are going to be times when we may actually see up underneath here, like if the car flips over or something. So we'll have to look at how much geometry that's going to add. All right, let's add some very basic pieces like we did here. Let's add those over on this side here. We just need these pieces. There's more detail in here than I want to deal with. All I want is just, say, a cube scaled and placed in here just to connect that. That's all we need. So I'm going to go ahead and create a cube and scale it down. And here I'll scale it in the Y with S and Y. And then in the X-axis like this. And then let's scale it down and put this in place as well. Just once again, trying to connect the pieces, make sure they're not just floating out in space. So I'll move that here and let's move it into place. Oh, I think it needs to connect up in here, like this, and we want it to, looks like it connects to the very back of that post right in here, like that. And then it also goes up into the back of the step. So maybe if I grab this face here, and let's move it up and into there. Let's go ahead and delete that. We don't need that. And then this edge back here, I feel like we may be able just to angle this like this so it stays in line with that tube right there. Let's try this. So I'm going to go ahead and just take that and duplicate this for the other two. Duplicate, Shift D, Y, and move it over here. So I think that's all we need for those. We may need to grab these now and join them with this actual step here. So I'll select that. And it looks like all of that is already mirrored over. So if I add these new objects to that object, Control J, it should then mirror them over to the other side here. Yep, so that's good. All right, well, what other details do you think we should put in? I mean, there's so much to do in here, but I think what let's do next is instead of adding more detail down here, let's come up and add some detail for the headlights. We'll create the main headlights and this and maybe these pieces on the side and try and get some more visual detail, visual interest here in the front and see if that'll maybe be enough for us to then move on to the back of the vehicle.